So, man, how are we feeling today?
Feeling pretty good.
Good stuff. I think before we start with this week, we kind of have to go back to the last one, right? Which I'm sure is a memory you love revisiting.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us what happened, not in that fight, but the few days following after, the journey home. What's it like feeling a second loss in a row?
Second loss, first time ever being beaten. It was tough. It was a lot of soul searching, a lot of examining my camp, examining myself, examining my mindset, and yeah, it sucked, but it was a blessing in disguise because I was able to get back to what makes me me. I was able to get excited again about fighting and enjoying the whole process of everything.
Was that a surprise to you? Because I think most people would imagine with a loss like that, it could actually ruin your motivation to keep fighting. But for you, it relit a fire, it got you back in there?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I didn't perform to my best abilities, and that's what it's all about for me, is performing and loving the performance and going out there and enjoying it and not worrying about the outcome, because the outcome is going to come however it's going to come. You know, God decides that. I decide how I'm going to perform, and I go out there and do my thing. I do my thing, and I'm pretty much impossible to beat. So it was good.
Not to rub in the issue, but do you then look at him going, he gets to go and go fight Israel Adesanya, and that's a big fight, and you think, oh man, I could have even beaten Israel more convincing than him, or do you just not even think about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's none of my business. That's his business. My business is getting back to Dominick Reyes. His business is, you know, being a great champion and defending the light heavyweight division and, you know, putting respect on our division, you know. I respect what he's done and I respect what he's doing. He was ready to be champion. It was time for him to be champion. It wasn't time for me to be champion. So his journey is his and my journey is mine, and that's how I look at it.
You talk about your journey now, you got that fire relit underneath you. So how has that manifested itself in this training camp for this particular fight?
Oh, it's been a lot of training in the dark, training, you know, not a lot of eyes on me, you know, everybody kind of wrote me off after the last one. So it's good. I'm able to go back to working in the bunker and building these bombs back up.
Do you think that's a good line. Do you think that's maybe there was a thing of after the Jones fight, there was way more attention on you, it's almost too much, and you'd rather be away from that, rather just hone your skills outside of that sort of attention?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm a pretty humble guy from a small town. The attention, I lost myself a little bit there. I did, and good to get back to family and my roots, man.
Do you think there's also an element of maybe because you feel so strongly that you beat John, that you were like an uncrowned champion in your mind, and maybe that could have sort of swayed your attitude in training or in your preparation?
Well, not at all. I know I won that fight, period, no matter what. Nobody could ever take that away from me. But that didn't have anything to do with it. The thing that had everything to do with it was things surrounding the camp. I was only a 6-week camp after a 6-month layoff. You know, that's a tough thing to do overall. But not only that, you know, I had things going on in my life and my family, and I wasn't in the right headspace. I wasn't me. I wasn't me at all. I mean, the performance showed. I fought, didn't fight free. I fought timid. I fought, you know, not good.
So yeah, fair enough. Well, you didn't fight badly, actually. You did. Well, he looked like he was starting to slow, and then he caught you.
Well, yeah, I know, but
to your own standards.
To my standards, it was not a good fight.
Fair enough. When you see this opponent, Jerry, he seems like a bit of a quirky guy. You're fighting on Saturday. When you look at him, and you know we haven't seen him a lot in the UFC. What are your views?
I think he's talented. I think he is athletic. I think he hones the samurai spirit, in my opinion. You know, I feel like he loves being a fighter, and fighting is him, and I respect that. I respect what he's doing. He works very hard. He was smart not coming to the UFC earlier because his skills weren't developed. I still think they're not good enough to beat me, so we'll see. We're gonna see. I'm excited about the opportunity. It's one of those things where this guy has all the hype that I once had, and it's an opportunity for me to get it all back.
Do you think with beating him, you're right back up there immediately?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm number 3 already. I'm already up there. I'm still up there. It's not getting, you know. I'm still number 3.
Fair point.
But he's coming to fight me. You know, it's not me fighting him. It's him trying to use my name to catapult himself. For me, this is just defending my position and saying, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, and I'm better than I was. I'm coming back better. I'm a better version of myself. I'm not fizzling out. I'm not going anywhere. I think that's what kind of this is in the eyes of the fans and what's going on. But yeah, he's not. I'm not fighting him. He's fighting me.
Well, last thing from me, and probably the most important question: have you seen his haircut?
Okay. I have.
It's impressive stuff.
It's pretty crazy.
Tom, how many times have you watched that John Jones fight back?
We're like 10 times ish. No, maybe less. It's funny because every time I watch it, I see something new. I'm like, whoa, whoa. So,
I mean, like, is it something that it's going to be if you don't get back there, if you weren't to win the title, like how much will that just kind of haunt you, and would you be able to get that out of your mind otherwise?
I don't really understand the question. It's not haunting me. It's a part of my life.
I'm thinking in the future, like when your career is done, thinking back to like that moment that they didn't give you the belt, that you won a fight that they didn't give you the belt.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's a crazy thing, like for sure. But it's not something that I dwell on. I won that fight, period. I'm a warrior. He's a warrior. I fought him. We know what happened that night. Everybody knows what happened that night. Everybody saw it. I know what happened. In my heart, I won. So there's no going back to it. There's no, oh man, if this would have happened, oh, if I would have done this, that's over. That's the past, you know. I'm now fighting Yuri, and now I'm ready. I'm me. I'm back to me. I lost myself after that fight because there was a myriad of things going on, and the attention, and it was constant questions like, what would anything you can do or whatever. Like everybody kept trying to bring me back to that, and it was just like, it's over. But I was still holding on to it as well, and now it's over. It's over.
Well, I guess was that a lesson you had to learn then, that you have to just put it behind you and move ahead and do what's in front of you?
Well, that's the thing. I was trying to do that, but nobody would let me.
Right.
Literally, like I was trying, so like I was like, it's over, and every single interview, anybody I talked to, on the street, you won that fight. Like, all right, I know I won that fight. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you, man. I appreciate your support. I really do. But it's over. Like, I know I won, and I appreciate you saying that I won, but I need to focus on this next opponent, right? And I wasn't. I was, but it's, like I said, my camp was not good.
Does it frustrate you that he's gone from the division?
It frustrated me that he wouldn't give me the rematch.
Right.
I think that's him I was holding on to when I was fighting Jan. It was, man, I wanted to fight John. I spent the whole year kind of like campaigning to fight John again, and then the rematch. You know, he even told me the rematch is going to be amazing, and then nothing. You know, and then he bailed. So I was like, damn. Like, and then like, oh, in 6 weeks you're fighting Jan. I'm like, okay. Like, that's kind of how it went. Like, and realistically, I wasn't mentally ready for that fight because I was still living in that whole rematch, the saga that we were going to create, and it was going to be epic, and it never happened.
And the last thing, any good documentaries that you've seen lately?
Yes. I don't know the name of it, but we need to stop destroying our oceans, for real. It's not cool, man. Overfishing is not okay.
Thanks, man.
What's it say then to yourself that the UFC, even though coming after those big fights, big losses, but they come back to you again and say, we want you at the top of the bill for this card? What does that say to you and their confidence still in you, and what does that do for your own sense of confidence, knowing that they still have that much belief in you?
Well, I know I belong here. They know that the circumstances surrounding the last fight were a little bit wonky. I know. I'm an exciting fighter, bottom line. I usually perform, and even when I don't perform to my best abilities, I put on a show. You know, I went down on my shield last fight. You know, I went down swinging, bottom line. I didn't cower out and just lose and curl up in a ball and be like, oh, just stop the fight. No, I fought to the end. I fought with all my heart that I was capable of at that moment. Well, it wasn't enough, but it was still everything I was capable of, and I'm going to show up and give you everything I got, whether I think it's enough or not, you know. whether it is or you know what I'm saying, like I'm gonna fight hard and I'm gonna put on a show. I love to fight. I love to go out there and perform, and they know this. And I'm like I said, I'm number 3 in the world still. I'm not an unranked guy coming in thinking I deserve a title shot. You know, like I know I have some work to do. This guy's on the list of guys that I got to take out and get back to the title. And next time I go for the title, I'm gonna be ready for it.
And something you mentioned, which left a great mental image, I'd love if you clarify. You said this camp, you went dark. Is that just cutting off social media, or is it you just went to a dark spot in your head that you had to go to for this camp? Can you explain a little bit what you meant by?
It was a little bit of both. I wasn't messing around with social media. I think I deleted my Twitter. I haven't reactivated it, or it's activated, but I don't have it on my phone. Like I don't go on Twitter. It's very toxic. I realized how much toxicity is out there, and I let it seep into me previously, and it was just a learning lesson, but then also I did go dark. I went to that dark place and really examined myself and everything around me, and really took a good look at things from a realistic point of view, and then I found the light, and now I'm back.
And you mentioned earlier, you talked a little bit about the hype, and then maybe that was part of the dark spot is realizing, when we all can kind of get caught up in our own stuff, when we all feel like, hey, I'm doing the best I can. How much of that, and maybe that's part of the Twitter, how much did you realize that you were putting on yourself when it came to maybe the hype, and how much was it just listening to the Twitter and everything, and then into that, and getting caught up into that?
It was you gotta understand the timing on it too. Like right after that fight, quarantine. We're just at home. Everybody's at home. I'm not going in the streets. I'm not going to UFC events and enjoying it and growing and doing things and training in other places. I'm not even going to the gym because I don't want COVID. You know what I'm saying? So we're all at home, so everybody's on their phone, everybody's online, everybody's talking, everybody's trash talking this or that, this and this. And it's such a toxic environment. It's so toxic. And I realized that. But I was reading all the comments and getting all involved and replying back to people and replying back to the trolls that were sending me messages like, dude, that's so not good. That's super bad for your mental health. Especially in a sport like this where mental health is 80% of the battle. If you're not mentally there, if you're not 100% ready to go, then man, you're facing a very uphill battle, and that's what I dealt with last fight, and I'm very aware of all of it now. It was like the veil got pulled, and I got to see the other side for how it really is, and I'm like, all right, I know, I take everything for what it is now, and I just enjoy the moments, the little moments, the little things.
So does it feel that you're coming into this event a lot lighter? A lot less stuff that's kind of hanging on your shoulders?
Absolutely. The weight on me is very minimal. People are like, oh, but if you lose, it'll be 3. I won 17 straight. I lost 3. 2 of them were title fights. 1 of them I didn't even lose. Come on. This is a game of very, very small margins. And if one of those margins catches me, it's not something that I'm going to dwell over. I busted my ass. I'm working my ass. So I'm doing everything I can to be successful, to win. Winning. I love winning. Who doesn't love winning? There's no other feeling on earth like winning in the octagon and getting your hand raised. Literally, I've been in so many other sports. I've done so many action sports and different things, and there's nothing on earth like getting your hand raised in the octagon and defeating another man. It's addicting. And I want to get back to that feeling.
And you had said earlier that your opponent was coming in with sort of the samurai mindset. Mm-hmm. He also, from what I gather, doesn't seem the kind of opponent that's going to be talking a lot of trash through the fight week. So you guys are going to come here, in a sense, in a pure fighting environment. So is he the perfect opponent for you to come back in here and get back onto the winning
I think
league?
so, yes, because he's a true martial artist. He's gonna bring his best. He's gonna put his all into it, and I only want that. I want guys that are good and they're ready to go and they're mentally there and everything's on point. Because how am I gonna be like, oh, I'm so proud of this I did this. Yeah, but that guy was compromised. Whether or not, whatever. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a pure matchup, like you said, and there's not a bunch of trash talking. It's respect on both sides, and it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a lot of technical skill involved on my side. It's going to be a great performance.
And you kind of touched on the last one for me, I guess. Showing up with the clear head, what final things, what are the keys to the victory for you to make sure that you get your hands raised at the end of the night?
My keys to victory is just, like I said, just be myself. Be Dominick Reyes. Be what got me into the title fight. Be what got me all those finishes. Be the guy that just goes out there and has fun and enjoys his performances. And, you know, one way I could explain it to you is when I fought all my fights, says for the Jones fight, for the Weidman fight, for everything, when they came to get me to fight, it was, hell yeah, let's go. Like, finally, you know, it's my time. For the last fight, it was, oh, shit, here we go. And that's as subtle and as simple as I could put it. And I'm back to, hell yeah, let's get this.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.